Ladies and gentlemen, I present to you Sandee Simons and Hans Schneider.
There's a land that I love far away, where griffins and unicorns play. It's a magical place where there's no time or space, in this land that I love far away.
The wood nymphs and fairies live there, and the
Elves with their long flowing hair,
and the minstrel girl sings out from astride her steed, and
she bids all the men to take heed.
Love your darling, love her well, she sings, and you'll give to her gossamer wings, and she'll take to the skies and she'll fly ever higher, but you'll always be her one desire. And when she returns to the ground once again, you will find that her love for you will have no end.
There's a land that I love far away, and often I wish I could stay. It's a magical place where there's no time or space, in this land that I love far away.
The wind through the mystical trees,
Cascading in sweet melodies,
and a kind-looking man calls out for all to hear, and he bids the young men to draw near. Love your darling, love her well, he sings, and she'll bloom like the flowers in spring, with her beautiful color and gentle perfume. She will brighten up many a room, and she'll happily stand by your side as your wife, and she'll love you for all of the days of your life. Minstrel girl holds out her hand, and she places it inside the man's, and he leaps up beside her, together they ride. The kind-looking man is bride.
Very nice.
Hello and welcome to another edition of Talkin' Tunes. I am your host, Frank Walsh. Thanks for tuning in today. Now, as you can see, we are still not in the studio, so we are doing a special home edition today. And I have two great guests that you're going to get to know. One of them, whom you have seen many times on this show, and one who is a newcomer who has traveled all the way from Alaska. And she is going to be playing some songs, and these two are going to be probably cracking us up a little bit with some of the stories that they have to tell. So it gives me great pleasure to introduce to you Sandee Simons and Hans Schneider. Hi, Sandee. Welcome aboard. Hansie, welcome back, brother.
Howdy,
Good to
partner.
see you.
Hans, you're an old pro at this.
Yeah, I'm getting there.
So you brought a rookie along this time, right?
Yeah, I've known her from way back in the day.
Way back. Now, Sandee, welcome here. As I say that you would come all the way from Alaska, that, you were up here visiting.
Yep.
And you were here about a year ago and
2 years
raised,
ago.
2 years ago,
Yeah.
and raised a little
God.
bit of hell in this place with our
What?
friends. And quite honestly, we're surprised you came back.
That's true.
People usually leave here scarred and need intensive therapy, so I guess the
just felt
therapy
like
has worked.
Yeah, I felt like I fit right in.
Cool. But on a serious note, thanks for being on today. And for the sake of the audience who may not know you, let's talk a little bit about you and Hans. I know that you and Hans go way back to high school, right?
Yeah, we met
And
in high
then
school.
some
Yeah.
life changes happened, and you separated for a while. So why don't you guys talk about that story? Jump in wherever you guys want to.
I don't.
Yeah, we met in high school. I lived in Massachusetts from 78 to 85, and
Duxbury. High
so
School.
at Duxbury High School.
Wow.
Yeah,
It's very cliquey.
we both were
place.
involved with the drama club and that kind of thing, and so
Uh-huh.
that's kind of where we met.
And we met too because remember you used to wear a bandana wrapped around your leg like I did, and that's
Yeah,
so
for
that's
some
how we
weird
ended up
reason.
talking.
Really?
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
how we ended up talking.
Yeah, and
So
then
weirdos attract.
Yeah, you got it.
we both got along
Eclectic
well.
show.
There were a lot of odd people in the drama group.
Uh-huh.
So, yeah, and then in 1985, my dad retired from the Coast Guard and hauled our family up to Alaska. So that was quite a
So
quite a
Alaska,
shocker.
so you were in Duxbury, so you had to what, go to Plymouth and take a left?
Yeah.
And
A
just keep on
long
going, right?
left, yeah.
Now that
Yeah.
must have been pretty traumatic for you. I mean, you were both in high school. At least you were in high school, and
Yeah.
then you probably had your roots established here. You had friends established here.
Yeah.
How easy or difficult was that transition for you?
It was very traumatic actually. Yeah, I wasn't very happy to move with only 2 years of high school left. My dad had been in the Coast Guard for 27 years.
Wow.
And like I said, that was the longest place we'd been stationed anywhere was Massachusetts. And so going from, all the culture here in Boston, and we had family, friends, like you said, going up to Alaska to a small town, it was really a lot of lack of culture shock, I think, too,
Right.
and just such a change to. But it's a
Because you even had to
place.
finish school there, right? I mean,
Yeah.
you got pulled out of high school,
Yeah.
and you had to finish that senior year there and everything.
Yeah, and I did. I always expected I would graduate from Duxbury, and so it was
Mm-hmm.
very different. And making new friends, of course. And both my brothers were out of school at that time.
Right.
And they did come up with us, but it wasn't like I had a friend in school or family in school, and
Right.
so that was hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and you started a career. You started doing some nice earthy things, and nature things, and working with conservation and fishing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
Talk a little bit about that. Just what you did for that.
Well, and originally I worked at an ice cream shop, and I was manager of an ice cream
Oh,
shop.
okay.
Yeah. So I did that, but
dream job.
I
Dream job.
the boss offered me that. Wanted to know if I wanted to buy that at one point.
So that's why the
but I was
24
young.
years went by, because it took you that long to lose all the weight that you gained
Yeah,
from working
yeah,
in
yeah.
the ice. You ate the profits.
I did eat a lot of profits. That's how I met my husband. Actually, was there. He would come in and he'd mop the floors for me and stuff, and I'd make
Wow.
him milkshakes afterwards.
Okay.
So he'd help out. Anyhow, that was the start of it. But I didn't see a career in that because it was
Right.
either buy the shop or move on and do something different. And another mutual friend came in and said, "Hey, what about working for Fish and Game?" And that just really struck me that hey, that would be fun. And so I went in and started working in fisheries. With the Alaska Department of Fish and Game.
Cool.
So, and I
Very,
did that
very
for
cool.
many years. I just actually just resigned last February.
Right.
So
And during those years, Hans, you were serving what, 15 to 20 for grand larceny? Or?
Yeah. No.
No, I told you it would crack you up, folks. But you guys hadn't seen each other or hadn't
No.
talked to each other.
When she first left, I tried to call her, and my mother got pissed at me one time because
Right.
I 411 bill because we're landlords.
Oh
back
yeah,
then.
yeah.
And I'm trying to find you in Alaska, and my mother's like, "What is this $285 bill?"
Oh boy.
Because
I knew none of this.
I know,
didn't
and
know
because I was
this.
like, "Well, where is she?" I'm one day I was like, "I'm gonna find her," and because I was still 17 then.
Yeah, about that. Yeah, I was 14, 15 when we went.
So we're talking about almost 35 years, right?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Pretty close.
Yeah. And there weren't. Yeah, we didn't have. We were kids. We didn't really have. You just had regular mail to
Right.
send a
Yeah,
letter.
yeah.
You didn't have email or anything.
Right, right.
And I wasn't driving age when I left, so I didn't really know the roads. I didn't even know where his parents lived or, any of my friends for that matter, really.
Right.
And so it was hard keeping in touch with people. I wasn't that great of a letter
Right.
writer, and
Yeah, I know.
and it was really painful.
Then the fact like, oh, now I gotta write a letter.
Yeah. Well, and at first, I was kind of depressed when I first
I'm
went to
sure,
Alaska, so I
yeah,
didn't really
sure.
want to write back and be all sad and whatever. So
Now I know that you play the guitar now. At least that's the instrument I'm most familiar hearing you and singing. Is that? But I understand you kicked off your music career as a wee little one. You started off
Just
at
a wee.
5.
yeah, playing piano when I was 5. There was
Uh-huh.
always music in the house. My mom plays guitar.
Did she?
And so she started me off with piano lessons when I was 5, and I still play piano. that's always a favorite, but that's a hard thing to lug down to the campfire.
Right.
Guitar is a little bit easier to get around with.
There you go.
Has played cello with a marching band.
Yes, I did.
So,
Oh man.
oh goodness. So in fourth grade, I tried, because I wanted to play an instrument in school, so in fourth grade I tried the violin. But I'm left-handed, and I wanted to do it the opposite direction.
That's
So,
interesting. That's
yeah.
really interesting. That and why was that? Because we were talking a little bit before the show. Is that it didn't fit into the band correctly, or
That's what it felt like. I don't think
what's
the
the deal
orchestra
with that?
teacher
What's
really
the
liked
deal
that,
with
except
that?
the one
Lefties
going
and
the opposite
righties
direction.
and all that stuff.
Yeah, it kind of was one instrument facing the opposite direction of all the others, and it kind of screws up the line and the look of
symmetry
things,
is just
Yeah.
gone.
And
Wow.
So fifth grade, I switched to the flute and moved into band, and in high school played in the marching band here at Duxbury Marching Band.
I played trumpet in the band back then.
Yeah.
That was my first instrument.
Really,
Yeah.
a trumpet player.
Trumpet, yeah.
Wow. How long did you play that?
5 years, and then I got thrown out of band because I couldn't read music. I did. I made it to third trumpet, like in the band. We had a big band, and when he found out I couldn't read music, he's like, either you learn how to play, or you're out. And I was like, well, guess I'm out.
Oh, wow.
And I picked up a guitar.
Boy, I thought I knew all this guy's secrets. That's a new one. You heard it here first, folks.
Yeah, that's true.
Now, when you got to Alaska and you started, growing and developing a career and so forth, when did music really kick in for you? How was the music scene up there, and how did you take the music that you had learned, and how did you put that into practice? Was there clubs up there? Was there a music scene? How did that develop for you?
Music has just always been there in my life to some degree.
Right.
So I was in, I did things like occasionally I played in the pit orchestra for plays and things.
Okay, theater, yeah.
There's a lot of music in our community, so there are a lot of opportunities there. Of course, we have coffee shops everywhere, and that's kind of the big thing now is just going and playing in coffee shops. But also playing in the contemporary Christian band, playing at church and that kind of thing. So in that group, I would be singing mostly, which singing is really my passion. But I would play my hand drum. Started off playing guitar in one group, and I was just learning guitar, so I wasn't very good at it. But they switched me to bass guitar because we needed a bass player, and that's a little easier, only 4 strings.
Cool.
So that went well, but then I convinced my husband to come and play bass guitar in the group instead because he's a guitar player, a fantastic guitar player. And we needed a bass player, so he hopped in and he just did a tremendous job on bass.
Nice. And you have a daughter?
I switched to the drum. Yeah.
And is your daughter musically inclined?
Yes. Both my son and my daughter. I have a 24-year-old son and my girl's 12.
Oh, a son. I'm sorry.
Yep,
I'm sorry.
both of them. Jeffrey played drums. He has a drum set and he likes to play drums, and he's picking up the ukulele and trying to teach himself some ukulele right now.
That's an
Yep.
awesome instrument.
Ukulele.
Yeah.
Those things.
Yeah. And my daughter.
Remember
plays-
Ukulele Uke? Remember him, the guy from Hull?
Oh my God! Holy cow! I forgot.
Remember Ed?
I remember now.
Yeah, he moved away.
Yeah.
Ukulele Uke. Now, as far as the music scene, at least in my experience, I mean, you can jump in here too. You never hear of like U2 playing up in Nome, Alaska.
Yeah. I know. The Stones don't go flying.
Taylor Swift is going to be playing at the Odeum in Nome today. How is the music scene as far as like, I'm sure your radio and satellite, you probably have a lot of satellite radio and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So you catch most of the mainstream media, but is there any unique style of music up there, or anything different from what you might find, around here?
There's a lot of native music, of course.
I was going to say the Inuit.
Yeah.
And I mean, do they?
And so
A lot of native music, right? Okay.
Yeah, and the dancing and drumming, that kind of thing is.
All the
is
drums
really
that you
big,
play are native, like.
Mine actually, the drum that I play is a klong ya, which is a Thai drum.
Oh,
it's
it
a
is.
Thai ceremonial drum.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you turn on the radio there, you might
You can hear
you might hear anything.
Yeah, you
But
can
do
find
do they play that type of music on their playlist as well?
It depends the
Some
station.
of the Indian stations, they have a lot of independent stations up there, like our Holly
UMB.
Harris, WUMB, and all that.
We
They
have
play a
like,
little of everything.
we have like our PBS station will play all kinds of different things. You can get the indie music, but we have a lot of our NPR, I should say, not PBS.
Yeah.
But we do have that too on TV.
Uh-huh.
You get a lot of variety, but we get pretty much everything that you guys hear here. We can get up there. And we do get some big name bands coming through. Sullivan Arena in Anchorage and Fairbanks, they're the hot spots for the
You go to
big
some
ticket
neat
bands.
festivals too. I remember I was on the phone with you
Yeah.
at a couple of them.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Salmon Fest is huge, and that's in Ninilchik every year, and that's to kind of promote maintaining the salmon streams and just protecting Bristol Bay and the wild salmon runs that we
Well,
have.
speaking
in
of
Alaska.
wild salmon, what you brought me the other night is on the menu for dinner tonight.
There you go.
All right. Yep, that's
Salmon.
the good stuff, and you can't beat that. It's not farm salmon.
Yeah,
Exactly.
I know. It's totally
Yeah.
different too.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
night
there's
and
no
day.
comparison. No
That's
comparison.
right.
Yeah,
That's
it was
right.
funny. I'll give you one quick little aside about that. I used to go to a supermarket around here, and they would sell farm-raised salmon, and this was years ago, and when salmon was inexpensive, right? And they had farm-raised salmon, and then they had the ocean-fresh Alaskan cod, which is totally
Oh, yeah.
different looking, the redness and so forth. So I went in there one day, and I see like let's say the farm-raised salmon was like $3.99 a pound, right? And right next to it was a big, huge mound of the real deal,
Yep.
right off the boat, Alaskan salmon, right? For like 99 cents a pound.
Yeah. You're like,
And I
whoa.
said, I said, did you mix up these signs here?
Yeah.
And the guy said, no. He says, the people around here are afraid of that.
No.
Because they're not used to it, but the color and everything. He said, we overbought it. He says nobody bought it because they're afraid of it because they think of salmon
Oh, my
as the
goodness.
farm-raised salmon.
Right.
So, needless to say, I ate salmon for a long time for 99 cents
Good.
a pound.
You got the good stuff.
Yeah, that was good. But I understand when you two connected, even though you're 5 or 6 miles away from each other,
5 or 6.
Alaska to
4,000.
Duxbury,
Oh, 4,000, I think.
Slid.
Yeah.
you guys have been collaborating. You've been writing songs, and you've been exchanging a lot of information musically. Talk about that.
Yeah, we reconnected in 2019, like March.
And I didn't know you play guitar.
Very
And I didn't know
recently
he'd been
too.
doing music all this time either.
Yeah, right. Because
Yeah.
so it's like, so we started writing. And you played a couple of your songs. I think I sent you some of mine. And then we started writing together. And but it was after I was hurt, so I didn't play guitar anymore.
Right,
I could
right.
play keyboards, which we wrote like Ocean Tides and that minstrel song, which I hope we do today.
You're going to be doing that today.
Yeah.
You're going to be hearing that. That's a really nice
Choo
song.
choo train. What was that? Like,
Southbound
Southbound
train.
train, yeah. Because I'm like, can we change the choo choo thing? It's just like a choo choo
My daughter
train.
liked that part.
I know, I know, but she was 5. You know?
But how do you
true.
do it? Do you guys do it over FaceTime? Do you do it?
Yeah.
Do you text each other with?
No,
I have an
Skype.
idea for a song, and it's interesting. I mean, I love music and appreciate it, but it fascinates me how some of these things originate and come together on a simple idea or a simple thought. And then it just gets developed. So you do it on the phone, you FaceTime it
Well, it's
together,
both.
you
Yeah.
We start-
play with the chords.
Well, a
and-
couple
and-
times we didn't even have chords. We just started firing texts back and forth to each other, and the next thing you know, it's like, oh, that's a song.
It's a whole song.
You know,
Yeah.
and then we would call each other and put music to it.
Yeah.
Right.
And we tried Skype,
Yeah.
and we never did Zoom, but we tried Skype,
Skype.
and we tried,
WhatsApp.
what was that other one?
WhatsApp.
WhatsApp?
Yeah,
it was some
WhatsApp,
Discord or something.
Oh my God! Yeah.
We
It's like-
struggled with that.
Well, yeah, that's right. Discord. It's like I feel very discordant. Right?
Yeah, that did not work at all.
Yeah, because when I would sing, I couldn't hear you, and you would sing, you couldn't hear me. But
Yeah.
mine would work a little better, so I could hear us both, and then I'd have to record it and then send it to you.
Yeah, so I could hear what he was doing. Because as soon as
Yeah.
I started singing, it would cut out the sound from his end
Yeah.
Right.
to me. And so
Right.
we couldn't tell what was going on with harmonies or anything.
No, I know. We thought we had it. We were kind of like, I think it's there.
Yeah.
But,
Now, if I were to go and rummage around your car or your CD collection or your radio station, what would I find in there? What do you listen to?
Oh, I like all kinds of music, except I'm not really a big fan of like rap
Right,
and
right.
some of the country stuff.
Like who? Pick some artist or pick some
Uh,
influences that you
oh,
might
things
look
like-
at that have
gosh.
influenced you.
Well, it goes all over the map. Things like Led Zeppelin, Janis Joplin. I mean, it goes way back to all that kind of
Did
music.
they ever make it? Those bands, Joplin, Zeppelin.
flash in the pan.
Yeah.
I would say that Jewel, who's from
Jewel,
Alaska,
sure.
that she's a
Really?
big,
I
she
didn't
was
know
a big
that.
influence for me. Yeah. She
What
was
about
from
some of the
Boulder.
classics? See, I could see from when you were here the other night and playing, and I mean, you mesmerized us here. It was so great.
Thank you.
What about some of the classics? The Judy Collins, the Joni Mitchells.
Joni Mitchell
you
for
know,
sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, River.
those
I
type
like
of
them.
Carole Kings. I could see you in that kind of vein. Even maybe a little Tracy Chapman there if you
Yep.
kind of picked
Yep.
it up a little bit. Those kind of people influences you.
Yeah,
What about
yeah.
Ani DeFranco? I could see.
Oh.
I could see. I could see a little Ani DeFranco in you. As
First
far
time I
as,
heard Ani DeFranco was Salmon Fest.
Really?
That was only about 5-6 years ago. but
She
yeah, I
started when
enjoyed
she was
that.
14.
Wow.
Yeah, she's 14 and she's still rocking it out. But I could see some of those influences in some of your stuff. And then, some of the tender stuff that's just you.
Yeah.
I don't think it has its own label.
No, it's definitely.
It doesn't have, it
good
doesn't
songwriters.
copy
Yeah,
anybody.
yeah.
And when we were talking the other night, it had a little bit of that Celtic influence there.
Very
The
much
minstrel
so.
song. yeah.
Where does that
The
come
minstrel
from?
song is like completely like medieval.
They're
Yeah.
almost
Like
madrigal.
bardish.
They're like little madrigals, and you feel like we should be sitting on the side with our robes and drinking some grog.
Oh my God.
It's like is that something that just comes out of you and flows out of you, or
I don't know where that song came from. It just was there. It just was there one day. But I would say that when I still lived in Duxbury here, I wanted to take dance one year, and my best friend and I wanted to do ballet. And her parents said, she's 99.9% Irish, and her parents said, no, if you want to do any kind of dance lessons, you have to do Irish step dancing.
okay?
And I said, well, okay, I don't care what kind of dance we do. I just wanted to do some dance class. So we took Irish step dancing classes. And I really enjoyed that and learned a couple jigs and things. And I think we did one competition before I left, That was really fun. So I've always enjoyed the Celtic music. I love the style of that and listening to that. So maybe that sunk in somewhere
Yeah,
in
maybe
there,
it
and
was
then it just
in there,
popped
yeah.
out with minstrel song.
I remember when you first played that for me. I'm like, this is great.
Yeah.
I'm like, we gotta develop this.
No, let me ask you, Hans. As a musician, is that how much of the stuff that you have listened to over the years, and you're very eclectic. Your taste is all over the board, and how much do you think that the stuff that you listen to kind of spills into you and kind of gets imbued in you, and unconsciously it shows in your music?
It does. It inevitably does.
Because your stuff is somewhat unique. I mean, you have your own unique style, and I was trying to
put a lot
figure
of
out.
styles together in
I was
one
trying to
song.
figure out where that came from. So, who would you say in your songs? I'm sure after you listen to it, you might say, "Gee, that sounds a little like."
Yeah.
Who would you tie some of that music into as a conscious or an unconscious influence?
I don't know if it's I mean, I listen to everything. I mean,
Right.
Well, the minstrel song. The reason why I like that is I used to play in a Scottish Acadian band in Nova Scotia when I
Right.
lived up there. I mean, I love the Stones. I love Three Dog Night. I love Merle Haggard, Johnny
Right.
Cash.
But do
Ray
you see any of
Charles.
that stuff come through your songs?
All-
But if you're listening to your songs, do you say, "Oh,
I'll
there's
catch
Merle
stuff. I'll
Haggard
go,
in there"?
I'll go like,
or-
oh my God, that's the Specials in one song.
Really?
Right? And I'm like, oh, and I realized then that I subconsciously did that.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it comes out, and I'm like, ooh. And it usually comes out of the other guys I'm playing with, not out of me, which is even weirder. Because, you're like, oh my gosh,
You see, what I do, and you know that I fiddle around and I write and dabble and all that stuff. It works a reverse for me. That when I hear a song, I'll love the melody.
Yeah.
I'd get
Yeah.
caught by the melody.
Yep.
And then all of a sudden, I'm changing the words. I'm rewriting the words.
I've been doing that
Yeah.
since I was a kid.
I rewrite the words.
I come
and
up with
and
my own
I
lyrics.
steal the melody and I go up
Yeah,
a little
yeah,
here,
yeah.
down a little here, drop a chord over here, and next thing you know, I got a song.
Yeah.
And I've got more scribbles and
Yeah.
Yeah, I get captured by the emotion of a song too, just like that.
Yeah.
It's the groove and the emotion, and
Right.
I'm like, oh my God, I want to say something that says
yeah,
that too.
Yeah.
You rewrite the song in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's cool. But I think we kind of talked a little bit enough here for a little bit. I think it's time that maybe we're going to hear you two play a little bit. What do you think?
Okay.
Now, how do you want to do this? You want to do a little thing together? We can mix and match it up here if you want.
I want to do the minstrel song. 'Cause I think it's
All right. Well,
for
folks,
sure.
I want
And
you to sit back and relax, and you're going to listen to these two for a little bit, and we'll be back right after that.
So this is a little song called Breathe, and it's kind of about just taking every day as it comes and living in the moment. Slowly music stirring from within, and so begin to feel alive again, learning how to live within the now, finding no one else can show me how. Feel the joy that's rising up inside. Emotions ebb and flow just like the tide, floating on a sea of consciousness, feeling like I'm on the edge of bliss. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Gazing up into a cloudless sky, remembering there was a time when I was drinking up the sun, my arms held high, spinning round in circles like a child. Hear the rhythm of my heart beat strong, pulsing through my veins, it flows along into the melody I'm flung head first, till my voice emits another verse. Breathe in, breathe in, breathe in. Oh, breathe in. Time has lost all meaning when I'm caught up in just being. Life seems so much easier when I don't have to be so sure. I know all the plans in store, the times, the dates, the reasons for. No, I can just relax and breathe it in. Breathe it in. Breathe in. Breathe it in. Oh, breathe in. Oh, breathe it in. Oh, breathe it in. Seems to me there's something more in store. Life is calling, what am I waiting for? Reaching deep into the great unknown, finding healing music for my soul. Oh, breathe in. Oh, breathe in. Slowly music starting from within, and so begin to feel alive again, and so begin to feel alive again, so begin to feel alive again. This is called the Fireweed Song, and I wrote this song for my husband, Charlie. Fireweed is at the top, wind's blowing and it just won't stop. Clouds are rolling in, it's nearing winter time again, and there's a cold wind blowing. There's a cold wind blowing. Spring and summer have come and gone, time keeps on moving on. There are friends we see and friends we miss. I can feel the breath of winter's kiss, and it's a cold wind blowing. It's a cold wind blowing. And I'm so glad you're here with me. Without your love I could not be the wife and mother that you see. Oh darling, you're the only one for me. A lot is on my mind today as I watch our kids outside and play. They'll soon be grown and on their own, and we'll be here in this great big home while the cold wind's blowing. The cold wind's blowing. So put another log upon the fire, come sit with me a while. We'll talk of how things used to be when our love was young and wild and free, while the cold wind's blowing. The cold wind's blowing. Without you near I cannot sleep, when nights are long and the snow is deep. Oh, I'm so glad you're here with me. Oh darling, you're the only one for me. Looking forward to the times ahead and snuggling each night in bed. There's no telling what the future holds, but I know our love will not grow old while the cold wind's blowing. The cold wind's blowing. So put another log upon the fire, come sit with me a while. We talk of how things used to be when our love was young and wild and free, while the cold wind's blowing. Cold wind's blowing. And let's just take this time to see the beauty of our family. We'll keep the cold outside our door, and we'll pretend it's spring once more while that cold wind's blowing. The cold wind's blowing. And I'm so glad you're here with me to share this life and this family. Yeah, I'm so glad you're here with me. Oh darling, you're the only one for me. Darling, you're the only one for me. Yay.
No.
So this song is called This Land, and I wrote this one quite a few years ago, kind of about Alaska. Talks about how I'm finally getting used to things in Alaska, I guess. But I had the words and the melody for a long, long time, and I didn't have the chords, and that's the struggle for me sometimes, is getting the chords, the rest of the music. And I wanted to play this one for a friend of mine, Hobo Jim, and I was working on it to send it to him, and I thought, I'll try and figure out the chords today and send this off to him. And unfortunately, he passed away. I found out he passed away actually the day I was working on it, but somehow magically all those chords came to me that day, and I just feel like maybe he got to hear it after all. Maybe he was helping me get the chords to it. So hope you guys like it. It's called This Land. Looking out my window, reflecting on the past, starting to feel at peace with life at last. Never thought I'd want to stay in a place that gets so cold, but this land's become more dear to me than gold. I think I'm finally starting to see Alaska's the place where I was meant to be. A New England girl, urban born and bred. When Dad brought us here, I thought he lost his head. I hated him for coming here, not giving me a choice. Now I love him for the chance he gave me to hear nature's voice. 'Cause now I know that I love this land, and I know that I'm in God's hands when I walk the trails, when I cross the streams, when I climb the hills. Then I know why I love this land. I've hauled my fair share of water jugs. I've learned to throw knives and shoot renegade slugs. I've hunted for moose sheds and caribou horn, 'cause Alaska's where I live, and though it's not where I was born, I think I'm finally starting to see this is the place where I was meant to be. I get my dog and my gun, put my pack on once more. I'm off to find some land where no man has been before. Only in Alaska can I find a place so free. The first person to step there might be me. That's why I know that I love this land, and I know that I'm in God's hands when I walk the trails, when I cross the streams, when I climb the hills. Then I know that I love this land, and I know that I'm in God's hands when I walk the trails, when I cross the streams, when I climb the hills. Then I know why I love this land.
Wow.
Like you
That,
can't-
Wow. Guys, Sandee,
she's
Thank
fantastic.
you.
that was
I don't know
amazing.
why I'm here. She doesn't need me.
That was amazing. I mean, first of all, those two songs that you did together was beautiful, but when you did your solo, I mean, Hans and I were sitting off on the side, and I tell you, we had to do a little bit of this once in a while, because,
Yeah, it was.
folks, you may hear it on the video, but sitting here, you could actually feel that music coming from you. And it was very powerful listening
Yes.
to you up close.
Thank
And I
you.
hope that that conveys over the camera.
Thank you. Thank you.
And I could also see that those songs were very personal to you.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that's one of the reasons why the emotion certainly, comes out of that.
Right.
So thank you for doing that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. This
You're
has
welcome.
been great. This has been-
Now let's talk just a little bit about your picking style. And Hans, you can jump in here anytime too. I noticed that, you pick
Yep.
how long have you developed that style, or is that something that you already yeah, take two, always have done? Thank God for editing keys, folks.
Right, hey.
But we're going to leave this in.
You might have to now.
I did take a fingerstyle guitar class at the college, like a 1-credit class one time many years ago with Mike Morgan, and he taught the Travis picking. So kind of you're just learning a few things like the in and out style or just a little bit, and I think that maybe got me started doing it a little more. But I don't know. It's more just sitting here and just my fingers just doing things. It just
They do the magic
pretty
for
much
you.
self-taught. Besides that one guitar class, it's really I really just sit and try and figure things out. And I'm just finally have this new baby that
It's a beauty.
just got in March, and I love it. It's my first brand new guitar and plays so beautifully that it's just really up to my game a little, and I just feel like it's so much easier. Now I can actually, instead of staying in these 4 frets, I know some songs and things up here, and I'm really starting to develop a little bit more. And I have more time to devote to it since I resigned
She's on the
from work,
13th
too.
floor up here.
Well, to paraphrase a Paul Simon song, I think that guitar is thankful for your fingers.
Aw, that's sweet.
Now, before we start wrapping it up here, what's next for you, Sandee? Where do you hope to take your music, or where do you see yourself evolving going forward?
Well, I think the next step, since I've only recently really gotten out and started trying to play some of my stuff on guitar instead of just accompanying other groups and playing drums and singing backups, I enjoy the coffee shop kind of thing, sitting around and playing at open mics and that kind of stuff. This is kind of the first step here of getting some music recorded. So thank you for that,
You're welcome.
I hope to maybe get some more recorded. We've got some songs we'd
got
like
a
to get
ton of
on
stuff.
tape,
Right.
And maybe get it out there
Cool.
somewhere. So
One quick thing, I've always you've heard you do originals. How you do covers as well, right?
yeah.
And, like rattle off a song that we wouldn't expect from you to cover.
Well, the one we did the other night, "Lost in My Mind," was kind of a new one to me from The Head and the Heart, the band The Head and the Heart.
Didn't know
I
them.
like that one. Yeah.
Didn't know.
So.
But you
that's
don't cover
that's
any,
a fun one.
any Hendrix or Clapton.
No,
you know,
Neil Young. I learned some Neil Young this summer.
Yeah.
A friend of mine really
I could see
enjoyed
that. I can see that style doing a little bit.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. One of my buddies that I met this summer, he plays harmonica, and he knew all the Neil Young songs, and he's like, learn
Cool.
some of those. So I learned 3 of those, so he could play the harmonica parts along with it around the campfire, and
Cool.
we had a great time. I love jamming. That's like the best thing for me because I really think it helps me so much to be listening, and since I was like classically trained reading music, everything was sight read, sight read, sight read for the piano.
Right.
I didn't have the opportunity to develop that ear as much.
Right.
So now I'm getting to listen to bands, listen to groups play, and go to jam sessions and figure out, oh, they're playing a G, an A, whatever, and
Great.
that helps me
Cool.
grow too.
Now, Hans, I know that Hans, the front man and songwriter extraordinaire for the Deluxe Tones. And I know that you guys have a thing coming up. You have a special event coming up. Why don't you talk about that for a little bit? Coming up right after Thanksgiving.
Yeah, on the 26th.
Yeah. Where you playing?
Pete's in Quincy.
Yeah.
Right across from Shipyard. And Pavi Pietrasanto is going to be there all the way from Torino, Italy.
I know. It's got the special guest Pavi going to be there.
She's amazing.
I have a hunch from all the stuff that you and Pavi put out there in Facebook and all of her face that there might be a little bit of a line to get into Pete's.
I hope so. I hope
You know.
so. She's a firecracker, man. I'm telling you.
Cool.
She has a lovely, soft, gentle speaking voice. Put a microphone in that woman's hand.
Oh,
The
she
wall-
can rock,
The
man.
walls of Jericho are coming.
She can
down.
rock. So put that on your calendar if you're around the day after Thanksgiving, Friday night over at Pete's in Quincy. What time
Let's
you
do.
starting? Kicking it off around
9 o'clock.
9 o'clock? 9 o'clock. Usually past my bedtime.
Oh no!
You know.
It's a Friday.
You know, you hit 50, and
I hit that
50,
wow,
30
that-
years ago.
Oh, and it's my birthday weekend too.
That's
so
right.
Sunday's
Go
my
wish,
birthday.
wish
so
Hans a happy
we're
birthday.
starting a party on Friday. We're starting on Friday. We're going all the way.
No,
to
you're going to start Thursday night right here. Now, Wednesday night
Wednesday night right here. Oh, I have a week. Birthday week.
We
I
got
like
the
that.
Hans
That's
party
even
all
better.
scheduled and ready to go, too. Don't forget.
Yeah.
Well, listen, guys, this has been a real treat. We don't get to do this in Shea Walsh every once in a while, and it was so comfortable and so nice.
I liked it,
And you know, Sandee, it was so great to have you back here. First of all, to see you.
Thank you. It was
And
great to see
secondly, you
guys,
know, when
too.
you suggested we do this, I said, let's do it, man.
Yeah.
Let's
Yeah.
do it. And Hans, you know, you're an old fixture here. I think,
Yeah.
you know, your toothpaste fell out of the cup.
Oh,
You know,
no.
your toothbrush, you know. And, you know, Hans will definitely be seeing you
you
back
will.
here. But before we sign off, anybody you want to say hello to or any kudos, any plugs you want to do?
So say
Start
hi,
off.
Charlie.
Hi,
kids.
Charlie.
Love you guys. Miss you.
Mom, don't forget
What are the
Mom.
Hi,
kids'
Mom.
names? Who are the kids' names?
Messiah and Jeff.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about you, Hansi?
Hello to everybody I love, especially my mom. That was a big one.
All right. Well, that's a lot of people, and I bet all of
Yeah.
those people who you guys love you right back. So, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I want to thank my two guests here, and I also want to thank everybody at SMAC who gives me the opportunity to do this. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do this. And as I always say, it's very important that you go out and support your local musicians. This is the time of music that you hear. You can go out and sometimes for the cost of a beer and a pizza, you can get a couple of hours
Good
of
point.
terrific music like
Yeah.
this. The Deluxe Tones are going to be playing, and you can go out and see them. And if you haven't seen them before, they're going to rock the house, whether it's the day after Pete's or any time going forward. So don't forget to get out there and do that. So, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for tuning in. And as always, tune in and tune on.